Okay, it is 4:01 p.m. We will begin this special meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Only one item on the agenda today, real quick, discussion and consideration of a resolution declaring a fire ban in Lake County, and that would be resolution 2025-28. This is led by Candace Bryans, County Manager, with input from other departments, I think. All right, go ahead, Candace.
Yeah, so Andy, you had reached out to me letting me know we've had a couple of constituents reach out, and also I got an email reply yesterday from someone letting us know, they were concerned about the fire ban, and so we know that we have to go through a resolution process to have a fire ban, and brought along Dan, and I think Heath was going to join. I'm not sure if you got to jump in. Oh, there he is right there. But just to give a little bit of context about how we decide to go into a fire ban and what information we use so that people know, we're trying to really look at facts and make good decisions and what goes into making those decisions. So I've phoned two friends here and bringing Heath and Dan along to explain the information that we use to make those decisions typically, so you guys can make a decision.
Great, thank you. I have been looking over some of the information that we've been sent from Chris Nakarato. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the people we rely on to make these decisions are far better trained and educated in this subject than I am. I think I'm just in a similar situation as a lot of people in the community where the boots on the ground observations are screaming at us like it is really dry out there. It's as dry as I've ever seen it. The dust on the trails, the pine needles under your feet, everything is just, the dust in the air. I mean, everybody's got, it's almost like allergy season again, except it's just dust and smoke. So I think it just lends to a real big level of concern from the community, and myself included. But I don't think the community has access to the information that I'm getting on my computer screen. I do have some comments about that, but I will go ahead and let Heath educate us on what he's got in mind.
Okay, so I've historically kept close contact with the Forest Service and in their reports with our conditions here to rely on their expertise for local decision making on fire restrictions. And I think there's two parts that are mainly important for me in doing so is one, that relying on their expertise, and two is also staying in alignment with them because they have a lot of their lands in our county. And if we implement something that's different than what they're doing, it's going to cause confusion for our public. And it's going to cause an extra workload for our first responders and our dispatch center taking in calls because the community is going to think that there's a fire ban in our public lands, and there's not going to be one. So it's just going to cause an extra workload that seems largely unnecessary. Those are my main 2 points on why I think we should stay in alignment with them and not implement our own fire restrictions that Forest Service is not. Also, in their most recent email with the way the future weather forecast is looking, we could drop into potentially the low fire risks over the next few days if that weather holds true. And if it does not, then we'll make appropriate changes. But the current recommendation not to go into restriction isn't based off of hope. It's just based off of actual current levels.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind that anything we're gonna be doing in here today is gonna be based on data. I did have one or two concerns about the data we've gotten from the Forest Service, where they have the yes or no chart for mountain zone restriction criteria matrix. I had it jumped out at me that they had no under which, a reason not to go into a fire ban, under a category that says, the area is receiving a high occurrence of human-caused fires or the human-caused risk is predicted to increase. And they said no there. Knowing that fire over the hill, the La Plata fire, is human-caused, and looking at the line of RVs and campers coming into town right now as we're talking, kind of makes me wonder why they checked no on that. Does anyone have any input on that topic? Well, it just jumped out at me as like that. It seemed like a weird, that category could go either way. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 criteria that they're judging this on this chart. And, that one looked to me like it could go either way. The, adverse fire weather conditions and risks are predicted to continue. I know we see rain in the forecast, but it was also, there was forecasted rain for today and it just didn't happen. So I guess, we'll see on Monday, what we'll recollect. I think, I don't wanna be reactive and make fear-based decisions, especially if it's gonna put staff in a bind and create extra workloads for already stretched thin emergency and first responders. So I'm deferring to whatever the professionals think here. I have questions I wish I could get some more answers on.
Commissioners, if I may, this is Chief Daly. Good afternoon.
Hey Dan.
Hey, how's everybody doing? If we want to talk about conditions, I know that the emotional sense on this is always at the forefront of people's minds, to include the fire departments, right? We want to make sure that the public is safe and that we don't have these larger fires, or we don't, we're able to get on those fires so they don't become greater fires in Lake County. One of the visuals, the actual visuals currently right now that we can relate the actual conditions on is the La Plata fire. If our conditions were really bad, that La Plata fire would be hundreds or thousands of acres. And in 6 days, it's only done 90 acres. So it kind of shows like what the fire behavior would do in those types of fuels, which is pretty thick in there. And it's relatively very manageable. And so I think that is one example that we can look at. And I'll just echo on what the sheriff said. When I've worked with other sheriffs and also other commissioners and city council and everything over the years, I think one message out to the community is very, very important. It gets very confusing when Lake County on their private land goes into any kind of fire ban, and then the Forest Service and BLM are not. And we're putting the restrictions on the people of, having fires in their backyard or using their propane gas grills, that kind of thing. I'm not worried about those people in specific. Our community members. Majority of the time, they have a water source there. Their homes are pretty manageable. Fire's not going to creep out and get crazy for the most part outside of their homes. It's gonna be those forest fires that we're always running on, the unattended campfires, et cetera, like that, those things. And those are going to happen if we're whether we're in a fire ban or we're not. Sometimes, right? I'm not saying like the majority of the time, if the Forest Service and BLM do go into a fire ban, then yes, the majority of the population will say, oh, okay, we're on a fire ban. We're not going to have a fire. But there are those people that will still have those fires, unfortunately. The other thing is the enforcement of it. I think it's very tough to be able to enforce, and I think this is what the sheriff was talking about as well. is that if we go into a fire ban and we're on that cusp, and we have been on that cusp pretty much all summer long. We've almost met all the criteria, and then we get some weather, and then that simmers down a little bit, and hopefully, into the future here, we are suspected to go into a whole moderate area again, which will be nice. But if we go into a ban and we're not collectively sending one message out, then the enforcement of that is kind of tough. And this is the strain that the sheriff was alluding to. Dispatch is getting overran. The sheriff's department's got to go out, check the enforcement of the fires, and then we have to go out and put out their fires in their backyard, even though they're within that 3x3x3 ring. That's allowed. So I don't know what else to really say on this. I really do like having that one message and everybody collectively coming together and making a decision together based on not only just the scientific criteria that the Forest Service comes up with, but also and here's a point to this, is that the Forest Service, even if they do go into a fire ban, their process takes a little bit longer than ours. We can go in and out of fire bans a lot faster than the Forest Service. So if we're getting ready to meet that criteria, boom, we can go into one, and then if we're getting ready to get out of it, then boom, we can come out of it a whole lot faster than what the forest does through our process versus theirs.
Yeah, that's good to know. Great, thanks, Dan. I think you hit the nail on the head with where the danger's actually coming from, and a fire ban in town isn't gonna change anything if the forests are what our major concern is, and that's gonna be up to the Forest Service. So we should just be ready on our feet. If the Forest Service moves, we'll be right there with them.
Yep.
So let me understand, Dan, a county, if we declare a fire ban, that has no bearing on our national forest lands. It's not a county-wide ban, that they would have, it's two separate things, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
so that's a misunderstanding from some of the folks that have emailed us in the last day or two, that we can't institute a county-wide fire ban. That's not what we can do. Our fire ban only pertains to county-owned property.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, that clarifies for some folks, hopefully, and myself.
Dan, that's not totally correct. It's also private land within the county, right?
Oh, yes, private. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That is correct. That's correct, Commissioner. So it's private land. It's non-forest service, non-BLM, non-wilderness. So it's private
Right.
land. That's correct.
It's like, a way you could think about it is like any land that we could potentially tax within our county is where we can put a fire ban on.
That's a great way of putting it.
Cool.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Elsa.
I was just saying thanks. Don't worry. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So BLM and Forest Service will move lockstep together? Is that always runs that way?
It typically, yes, it does.
Okay. Well, looking at the reports that they're sending us, they're far more educated on the subject than I am. I'm just pretty concerned, basically like the rest of the people in town, but again, having the data in front of me helps alleviate some of that. So I guess it's okay for us to share those charts with the public, the ones that we get from the Forest Service indicating all the criteria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not what.
Yeah. So that might be what we can do on our end to help people feel a little less concerned. Let them know that really the Forest Service is the key player in this.
And one of the, I don't know. So I know that there's this template right here for a stage 2, but we do have this ordinance already as a template, so we can bring it to commissioners' attention right away
Yeah,
and get a decision,
absolutely.
correct?
Yeah, that's why we went on and drafted, so it's ready to be deployed if we need to act quickly. We've got the document teed up and ready.
Wonderful, Chris. Oh, yeah, because I think the system changed a little bit and I'm just trying to catch up. That's why I just needed clarification. So that's great. That's wonderful that that's already taken care of.
Yeah, we're ready to move. We'll just defer to the experts.
Pray for rain,
Yes.
cool temps.
Yeah, more than a spritz. Does anyone else in the room have any more questions for Chief Daly or Sheriff Speckman? Anyone online? Okay, I guess, from the commissioner's side of things, we'll do what we can to push the correct info out there for anybody who's reaching out to us.
Yeah,
Make
totally.
sure the data is available.
I'm glad we had this conversation. It's good to at least show people that we're trying to understand and have a really thoughtful, pragmatic approach to fire management. So I'm glad we had the conversation.
Yeah, me too. Okay, anything else? Okay. Alright, well, thanks for that, Chief Daly and Sheriff Speckman and, Candace, and, with that said, we'll wrap this special meeting up. It's 4:17, and that concludes today's special meeting of Lake County Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Good weekend.